An F for fun.
But I haven't sat the exam yet.
Oi, you have an ice cream now.
I did.
You weren't joking.
Is it mini milk?
It is a mini milk.
Oh, they're
I love
good.
mini milks, man. Strawberry.
Yeah. What's your favourite mini milk?
I mean, I'd take any at this point.
Chocolate's got to be in there.
I don't know. I think I just like bog standard vanilla. To be fair.
Oh, the milk one.
Yeah, the milky one. I suppose it's not vanilla, is it? It's just milk.
It's milk flavour.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's why I like it, because it's literally just frozen.
I think
milk.
it depends what mood you're in, because they're all good options.
It is. But if you're in the mood for a post-show, ladies and gentlemen, you came to the right place. Right off the back of episode 54 of the Sounds of Stadia podcast, myself, Chris, my now stick that was an ice cream, join you with my lovely co-host, the man of many pixels. Oh, I'm going differently now. Down below there with his beard, Richie. And
Hello again.
above him, without his ice cream, because he didn't leave the podcast to go get one. Foolishly enough, you could be sat here with a mini milk right now, Tom. Tom joins us.
Hi. I do think it was really weird that we had the ice cream van, because it's raining.
And
It doesn't really make sense. But hey, and it's
Yeah.
October.
In
I think
England,
you need to make money somehow.
yeah, in England they just come at any weather, don't they?
Yeah.
To be fair.
Yeah. It's always raining. It's always October.
December 19th, they'll still be there.
There will be
Don't know why 19th. Just a date.
a
There you
date. Selling,
Anywho.
selling Chromecasts out the back of his van.
Yeah.
Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, you are here for our post-show episode 11. This week we're talking about the upcoming, hopefully, Stadia Connect. So it's been a while since we had the last one, and with Stadia's anniversary on the horizon, I think it's about time we start to lay the groundwork for what we hope and want to see with the Stadia Connect. So, first question, are we going to see one? Tom?
Yes.
Richie?
Yes.
Right.
Do you want more? Do you want...
No, that's great to start off
Okay,
with. I
okay,
also
okay.
think we'll definitely be seeing a Stadia Connect because they need to do something.
Okay.
Do you
All right,
think...
good job, guys.
Let's go say later, yeah, bye. Do you think then, start with you again, Tom, it will be coming on November 19th? If so, or if not, let me know why.
Okay. 19th is a Thursday. It's doable. It makes sense with it being Stadia's 1 year anniversary. Now, I am actually very heavily in favor of it happening then, for many reasons. But one thing I have noticed lately is there's a lot of ramping up of titles being confirmed and then disappearing from the ratings boards like ESRB, PEGI, and so on, that I think they're building up a library of games once again to drop at a Connect. And I think with 1 year looming, it makes sense. It makes sense.
Does the 19th being the launch of the PlayStation 5 in Europe and the UK have any bearing on that?
No.
Do you think they wouldn't care?
No, I don't think it's going to impact it whatsoever because I don't change my birthday, for example, because of other things that might be happening on the day.
Don't you?
It is what it is. It
I'd
just
also
is what it
say-
is. Like,
I'd also say Google, the Connect it's not the sort of marketing that's going to drag new people into the platform, so to speak. I think the sort of things like Connects or like Nintendo Directs tend to be aimed at people who already invested in the platform.
yeah, it's not an advertising perspective. It's if you are interested or you are already invested, this is what you've got to look forward to. That's what it is. It's not come and buy. It's here you go. This is what we've got for you.
My concern with that would be any gaming news site that whole day is going to be that whole week in fact is going to be reporting, because Xbox comes out to it'll already be out in the States obviously, I think a few days prior. In the UK, I feel like what I wouldn't want to happen is all the Kinect stories just become washed away with all the PlayStation stories.
So I'm going to be frank with this.
But you were Tom.
Yeah, I'm Tom, but you can call me Frank for this point. So the 19th is the release date for is it UK and Europe?
Yeah,
for the
and a couple of other countries. It's also the launch
Okay.
of Cyberpunk everywhere else.
It is, which is a very interesting fact in itself, but we can touch on that shortly. Google is primarily focuses their marketing on a US brand as opposed to a European or UK based brand. We know that very much from past experience. It's very, very marketed to the American way of dealing with things. I think because the PlayStation 5 is launching on the 12th over there, that they have it doesn't bear any sort of importance to them whatsoever that the 19th is a UK, European, and plus other countries launch. I don't think they're going to even consider that point.
I think for me, just generally, that November to December stretch is the new cycle in gaming is going very much dominated by Microsoft and Sony. So when you move the date around it, if you're staying in that window, doesn't really matter.
Okay then. So do we think Cyberpunk has any bearing on it then? Do they want to launch a Google Connect on a day when what was supposed to be their biggest title arguably of the year was supposed to launch on Stadia, and now it's not going to be there at launch day? So when all the news is talking about Cyberpunk, the platform that promised it from right at the beginning and it's not there on the day of launch wants to host an event without it being present? Is that not a bad look as well?
But again, I'm trying not to be too negative here. But the fact that we've not heard anything else about Cyberpunk on Stadia, maybe that they have... I won't say that they've got news to share about it, but it could be that potentially they've been keeping the release date under wraps for the event so they could shadow drop it at that point where it's like, and Cyberpunk is available right now. Which done. It's gone.
Personally, I think it's a terrible move.
Why so?
Because I think it's a terrible move because I think shadow drops only really work when you're not expecting them. When we expecting a game to come out in that time frame, to shadow drop it is just a bit annoying. I'd rather just know when it's coming in advance.
Shadow drops tend to work well for unannounced things.
Exactly.
Already unannounced things. Yeah, I see what you're doing.
Hey, oh, you like that trailer? It's out now. Bang, there you go.
Yeah.
But when you've been waiting for something for like a
circumstances.
year and a half, 2 years, basically, it's kind of, I just want to know when it's coming.
Yeah. I mean, I'd love them to announce it there. Part of me still is worried that a big part of the Stadia community, again, all of us are quite tuned into all of it, and a lot of people in the community are. There are still going to be a big sect of Stadia players who don't know Cyberpunk isn't coming day and date with everything else because they may not have read. If you think about the news, it's only been on CD Projekt Red's tweet, right? And then their blog post, maybe, I think. Stadia, I don't think Stadia's Twitter have ever not confirmed it's coming day and date. Like, I've not seen the Stadia Twitter account ever say Cyberpunk will be coming by the end of the year. I feel like it's all been through news stories, through like Stadia Source and such.
Well, I think this is something that Stadia have always kind of said that it's down to the developers to announce the release dates and stuff. Which I think I think it's absolutely atrocious, to be honest. But I've said before, I think the impression I'm getting, just like trying to join the dots, is CD Projekt Red are focusing on getting it out on Sony and Microsoft and PC. And then once that is done, then they'll start the port to Stadia, which they'll probably expect to take probably a couple of weeks to maybe a month, but they're because they don't know, because they haven't done it, they don't know what issues, they can't put a date on it till it's done.
It's all unknown things, isn't it?
It really is.
That's it. You have to remember sometimes these companies, they haven't done this before. They haven't ported anything to Stadia, so they probably don't want to put a date on until they've actually, here's our final product, let's port it over to Stadia, see how that works, fix what any specific bugs come across.
So you were both in the mindset of it's coming November 19th?
Again, I don't want to have to keep defending my position. I also don't want to overhype myself and like overexcite myself for it, but I have to believe because I think it will be a huge missed point once again, and it takes us back to a conversation we had a long time ago, which is how long am I willing to wait again? So I have to believe that it is still coming November 19th. And I still feel like there's enough out there that makes me hopeful for that. But I do see big points out there that are being made for doubting it as well, and for thinking we're not going to get a day and date too.
I think the biggest point for doubting is literally because we haven't got the information when we have the information for other platforms. That is literally the source of that. If they told us it's coming out a week later, fine.
Yeah, whereas when they do say by the end of the year, that is that placeholder 31st of December 2020, and if so, you're missing a big window of gaming.
Well, that's why I think CG Project Red are probably not willing to put a date on it. That's why I think they're just giving themselves the time. They've committed to getting it out this year, but they can't guarantee when it'll be there until they know when it'll be there.
November 19th to the end of the year is exactly 6 weeks to the day. Exactly 6 weeks to the day. And I don't think I'd be willing to wait 6 weeks.
It depends what else I'm playing at the time.
Yeah, I could probably push it 2 weeks max.
If I'm still entrenched in another game, then I'm happy to wait because I won't have time to play it anyway.
But this is where maybe a Connect earlier than November so say they schedule a Connected for the back end of October. They make it Halloweeny or something. They get a few shadow drops of horror themed games to kind of jazz it up a little bit. We get things like all the promises we've been given. So yes, it's a few weeks later. You said, Richie, about FIFA. It's coming today. Jedi Fallen Order, we promised it you at the last July. Surely they can do another Connect and not have Jedi Fallen Order out when they announced it for fall at the last Connect. So it must be imminent, surely. So our partnership with EA, it's live now. He's FIFA, he's Madden, and he's Jedi Fallen Order, and he's the extra game that we didn't tell you about last time. That's stuff in the pipeline and stuff now. Yeah. That's great for October heading into November. We mentioned CD Projekt Red. We said it will be here by the end of the year. They must be able to give us a date. Even if it is 31st of December, Google need to have a stage presence in their Connect of Cyberpunk. Sorry, they can't surely go into November without addressing when it's coming out. A game that's going to be arguably the game of the year for a lot of people without even played it. It's the makers of The Witcher 3.
If they're going to have it, if you're going to have Cyberpunk released on the 19th of November, going back to the topic of this post show I think the Stadia Connect needs to happen this month.
Arguably it could. We could be looking at, if they were to do it on a weekend, for example, you could do it Halloween, you could do it the 31st and have it pre-recorded for the day, like you said. 4 weeks is roughly around the sort of time that we need to know. So if they dropped an announcement next week, then that would be great. Fantastic. Brilliant.
Yeah.
But yeah.
It's just the waiting game.
Food for thought.
And you have to remember, a lot of people for the 19th are probably pre-ordering the game. So you want to get the announcement out while people still have a chance to cancel pre-orders if they want it on Stadia.
Yeah. Again, I think it's all goes back to what we said in the main show, what we say week in, week out. It's about marketing and having a roadmap. And it feels like we keep repeating ourselves because every time another week passes and we don't hear some news, in another game release comes and goes. We've touched on it again, but like SpongeBob, Destroy All Humans, now maybe FIFA this week that comes out everywhere else. Mafia Definitive Edition, like you announced them, you told us about them, but you're not talking about them, and you can't just hold everything. Imagine if the movie industry did that. They didn't do anything around trailers or pre-order tickets or when it's going to come out or any idea that there's another thing in the pipeline. Just we'll just shadow drop it. The movie's out this Friday.
There's a critical difference between the movies and gaming is, depending where you live, probably about £50-60 for the price of the games are not. This is one thing I keep saying. Games are quite expensive.
But then the other argument is as well is you're talking about different platforms. That's literally like having one brand of cinema, like Showcase or Cineworld, going, oh yeah, we're getting the new James Bond movie, but we just can't tell you when it's gonna be.
Yeah.
Like you can go watch it in Cineworld, you can go watch it at View, you can go watch it at Odeon, but Showcase is just like, we're getting it, guys. It's cool. We're getting it.
We'll tell you when.
Just can't say when yet. By the end of the year. By the end of the year.
Yeah, you are not going to see
that. There's no games coming in. We're not going to tell you about from them.
It's and you're totally right. Both examples there, Richie. Like financially wise, with next gen games going up supposedly by $10 as well. and it's an expensive hobby. People need to know this Christmas when to spend my money, and realistically,
Bear in mind,
your money.
we
You'll be
are
spending
still
your
talking.
money.
Yeah, my
It's
money.
2020. 2020 has been an absolute catastrophe of a year for a lot of people.
I think it's been all right.
Well, how many people have lost their jobs and things
Sorry.
like that? Well, worldwide, which means the money argument is even a stronger argument when it comes to planning purchases on the eve of Christmas.
Yeah, and you don't want to lead people down the conversation of, right, okay, so I save money by buying Stadia because I don't have a console, but I want to play Cyberpunk when I need a console because you haven't given me a date. So as we lead up to Christmas, and people start asking for presents, or children start asking for platforms, it ends up being the PlayStation 5 or the Xbox bundle with Cyberpunk as your game you get with it. Because Stadia doesn't have a date. It's like, well, how long did they wait till the 20th of December before? Guess what? It's coming out this week, just in time for Christmas, everybody. Go treat yourself. I've already been playing it for a month on my PlayStation because you didn't tell me when it was coming. I wanted to be in that conversation. So, back to the question, when will we see a Stadia Connect? And what do they need to showcase? I think, for me, they need to get ahead of these big titles they've told us are coming and give us some information on them. They can't have another Connect where it's just indie titles. They need... Yeah. We're at the end. We're going into year 2 of Stadia. The promises now, in my opinion, need to start coming to fruition, especially when they're coming out elsewhere.
For me, it's everything big that there's already been announced this year need to be clarification, dates, whatever. They basically need to tie a knot and all that stuff that have already been announced, and then a roadmap for next year. I think November the 19th it's their birthday. It's a perfect time to go, here's what to expect in 2021.
Yeah. And then I think they also need to be like, here are all the features that we've promised you. They are now launching today. Like, that's what it needs to be as well. It needs to be, like, again, hitting the whole thing with messaging. You need to be able to search your game library. We need to possibly talk about family share as well. I still think, particularly, and I'm sorry to keep harping on about it, but with Amazon Luna launching with the ability to be able to play games on 2 separate devices on one account, family sharing absolutely needs to come out, like, fast.
Family sharing, the Chromecast stuff as well that we talk about in the main show is like, give us a date. A Stadia Connect might be the perfect place for that, to give that information.
Yeah, and we're not just stuck in a silo, are we? The three of us, just like, we were promised this, and we're getting all like disillusioned and stuff like that. I think it's very hard when we look at the competition and they do this kind of stuff. I think the problem we've said with Stadia is not so much the problem, but the way they market things differently is they very much go to the beat of their own drum because they're Google, they're not a gaming division at the end of the day. And like the whole technique of shadow dropping things and it'll come out early 2021, that works when you talk about like technology and updates. But I think the gaming industry, which they're still figuring out, they're doing different things than the industry norm, and I think that's the problem with us guys who've been in it for 30 plus years now. We're used to having release dates. We're used to knowing when we can pre-order stuff.
Technology is different than gaming as well. A piece of gaming software, it's going to be the hot thing for maybe a month or two. Then it's going to be on people's radars for probably another 6 months. Then it's just going to be back of the cupboard unless it has like real staying power. Technology could be something like a Chrome. How long was the original Chromecast Ultra on shelves? So you can shadow drop something like that because you don't need that immediate return because most of your sales aren't going to be in that launch window. It's going to be spread out across the life of the product. It's a very different market.
I would genuinely like to find somebody who's invested in Stadia, but less so in the general community so far, and sit down with them and ask them questions and just gauge their opinion on how, like, completely unbiased interview and just be like, how do you think this has gone? What would you like to see? Like, do you feel like, just have like a questionnaire and literally just go through it and just get a general idea? It's
something Google should probably do. Just get a good cross-section of people invested in the community, content creators, people not content creators but in the community, people who are dabbling it but not really gamers, just the whole selection. And just see what different groups, different demographics in terms of...
I'd love to have that data. I'd love to know what...
It's just been an interesting conversation. Like, how many people last year got Premier Editions as like a free bundle with their BT broadband? Like, have you even used it since then? Have you plugged it in? Have you suddenly like ditched all of your previous platforms to utilize this? And then just gauge them on thinking, will you be playing Cyberpunk on Stadia this year? And they're going, yeah, I can't wait for it to come out on November 19th. And you're like, oh, yeah, okay. But it'd be amazing conversation to have.
You know what would be a good way to actually collect that data? Google Ad Reward surveys. Just send out a survey to just all your Android customers, asking a few basic questions about Stadia and people's perception of it.
What is
get yourself 21 pence and rewards for doing it.
Yeah, but you get it.
I'd do it.
I mean, I'd do it. I'd answer that survey. You'd get a lot of data in.
Speaking of surveys, do you think there's ever a time when Stadia, after we close a game down, is going to stop asking what your experience was like today with Stadia?
I hope so, because I just find it irritating and just skip it every single time.
Well, you mean you don't tell them it's excellent quality?
No, I don't.
I tell them when it's poor.
Oh, that's it. Negative responses only.
Well, that's it. Because if it works fine, I don't really want to do it. Like, I want to get on with my life. I don't want to sit down and do a survey every time I do something in my life.
Would you do it if they gave you 12 pence every time you did it, Richie?
Oh,
yeah, that would change it, because then there's a value for me.
Yeah, return on game points or something like that.
Yeah.
But would you not be able to break the system by just loading up a game, loading up another game?
Just like crowd choice all over again. Now you just spam the system.
You know what? Maybe you have like a time you have to play for at least like an hour or something before you'll get any monetary value. I don't know.
But we're all under the agreement then that we do need a Connect, and they need to showcase. I think it needs to be their best Connect, and I'd like to think every one of them, they learn something from the past and they improve on it and they adjust and such. And we've seen it with all the other platform holders. We've seen Xbox up their game. We've seen Sony knock it out of the park. Nintendo with their mini directs. And if this Connect is going to be their way of announcing things to the public rather than a blog post and such, I think this one needs to land really, really well to really set themselves up as competition for next gen. We know they're in a very different market. We know they're very small. They've only been doing it for less than a year still at this point. But unfortunately, with the big titles coming, they need to be part of that conversation.
Yeah.
And hopefully we'll see it soon. Any final thoughts on a Connect, gentlemen?
I just think that, again, it needs to be enough to raise Stadia's voice or Stadia's profile overall. I know Stadia is just trucking along and doing its own thing like Nintendo is now, but I do feel like maybe we now need something to really stand out. Maybe we need the first party stuff. Maybe we need the actual first party stuff. We haven't even touched on that, but just closing thought.
Outcasters, that's fall as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's going to be exclusive.
Outcasters doing their own thing, and Twitter, they're fine. Don't worry about that.
That's true.
But for me, I think with a lot of the points we just made, there's a lot of people in the community, not content creators, who are feeling the same thing. Might be getting a bit disillusioned, and with the launch of the new consoles, might be seeing this as time. I've given it a go. Wasn't what I hoped it would be. Mm-hmm. I'm moving on. This next Connect is a perfect time to get them. This is why I said that give us the roadmap for 2021.
Yeah.
Show people why you should stick around.
Yeah. And this is why marketing exists. Because you're right, Richie, people's heads are going to be turned by the new shiny boxes. Yeah. Apple do it every year. They announce a new iPhone and everyone's heads are turned because they do the fancy advertising, they market it, the adverts look swish and great. It shows off pristine. It's the best one yet. It's all those key buzzwords that make people in the consumer society we live in go, it's not the best, it's not the greatest, but I kind of want one still. And that's how brand marketing and such works. So you're totally right. Yeah, when PlayStation are doing their thing, Xbox, Nintendo, Stadia are playing this game now. They're part of it. And you're right, Tom. Amazon Luna are going to come out the gate swinging, and we've talked about that on
100%.
Last week's show. They're going to be doing so many things, and going into year 2, this is a pivotal moment, I think, for them to really announce themselves and go, no, we're still here, we're still a thing. In fact, we're going to double down on this thing. This is going to be our new gaming platform. You can get it everywhere, play anywhere, and we've got the big title games. And it's only going to get even better with our partnerships with XYZ. Our EA one, here it is, live now. All the big games, Cyberpunk, it's here by the end of the year. And I know we joked about it. Could you imagine if they dropped it there and then on the November 19th as a pro game?
Wow. See, that would be awesome.
It would never happen. There's too much money.
I think to sum up for me is, I think there's parts of the gaming industry, like other podcasts I've listened to, is where Stadia's almost become an easy joke.
Yep.
And that is, they need to get away from that.
You don't want to be a meme.
They need to get people in the industry taking them as a serious proposition, even if they're not at the same level as Microsoft and Sony are at. And they don't have the legacy stuff to stand by like Nintendo do. Nintendo are going to be fine. They've got all the legacy stuff. Sony, again, they're going to be fine. They've got a lot of a good legacy. Microsoft, same thing. Stadia don't, and Amazon are coming.
Exactly. Amazon are coming. The battle will take place in the cloud. But thank you very much, everybody, for stopping by for our post-show number 11. When will we see a Stadia Connect? My name has been Chris.
I'm hungry.
And I'm going to leave now.
And we've been Sounds of Stadia. Go grab yourselves an ice cream, ladies and gentlemen. Kick your feet up and play some games. We'll see you all next week. Take care. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.